Hello everyone. Today's session is about how to convert a reference image into a sketch and do a value study on it. Let's begin. The first step is to choose a reference photo. The reference photo should have good exposure, the direction of sunlight should be clear, and also the highlights and shadows should be clearly visible. For today's session, we have chosen these grapes. Here, some are directly exposed to light, some are completely covered in shadow. And there are few leaves which are slightly visible and the rest of the image is blurred. So the next step is to convert this image or the reference photo into a rough sketch. For this, there are many methods available. The first method is called the basic form capture. So here we are going to first draw a frame. The frame is nothing but what is the frame of the reference image, maybe a rectangle or a square. What is the frame that we are going to replicate in our sketch and eventually in our painting. So this is the frame, and we are going to mark the boundaries till which the main object is visible. If you can see, it is how tall or how wide the object is compared to the entire frame. In case of some other reference images like the set of bottles, you can also see how tall or short one object is compared to other, how wide or thin the other object is compared with each other. So roughly we are going to capture a basic form and then we can add details. This is one method. The other method which I like and it is very easy is the grid method. This is to convert the image into grids and simply copy every grid into the paper. We do not need to have exceptional drawing skills, just we need to see each square and copy that into our A4 sheet or any rough paper. So I have chosen a 3 by 3 grid. So here I am going to look at each box and I am going to replicate the same image in each box, whether it is in the center or whether it is in the lower half, right side, left side, and I'm going to exactly replicate it. I don't have to do it continuously. I can choose some objects which are completely round. For this grapes example, I am choosing the objects which I can see as completely round, and I'm starting with those grapes, and then I am eventually adding the others. In the first shot, you need not even capture the round shape of it. Just roughly place the elements and we can always go over, erase it and then come back and finish it off. We can always relatively study after drawing a grape whether it is in the right shape compared to the next object or object adjacent to it. So I am now, if you see, I am adjusting and readjusting the grapes according to the reference image until I get the final object. There are many free applications in the internet where you can download for creating grid. So all you have to do is download the free application, choose the image which you want to make it as grid, and there you got this image converted into grid. Now I'm adding in some leaves in the backdrop. We can see the backside of some leaves. Once this is done, we have to convert this image into a 3D image. Take some sphere for example. All you can see is a circle, right? How to convert this circle into a sphere? As you can see from the arrows, that is the direction of the sunlight. So we are gradually increasing the value or darkness of this shading against the sunlight, so that we can feel that it is a round object and there are portions where the sun directly hits the object and there are portions where the sun is not hitting the object. So basically we need to know four concepts: highlight, form shadow, cast shadow, and also reflected light. Highlight is the portion of the object which receives direct sunlight. It is mostly white in color or it is slightly the lowest value of any color depending upon the shade. Form shadow. Form shadow is the parts of the object which does not receive the natural sunlight. So it is the shady part of any object. The third important thing is the cast shadow. Cast shadow is the shadow of the object itself which forms either on the surface of the floor or on the nearby object. So this depends, the shape of this shadow depends upon the angle of sunlight. And the fourth important concept is the reflected light. The reflected light is the light reflected from the floor or the nearby object on the main object. Even though this image, this sphere, the reflected light is in the portion of the form shadow, it is having a lighter tone because there is some portion of light reflected from the bottom. These are the four basic highlights and shadow concepts we have to know to make an object from 2D to 3D. Let us apply these four concepts into our reference image and make them work. Now, I am closely observing this reference image. I am going to squint or squeeze my eyes, and there's going to be a small opening from which I am going to see this reference image. I'm not going to focus on the entire image, but I'm going to see every grape by squeezing my eyes and having a slight opening. By doing so, you can actually see where the light is coming and where the shade of the grapes is darker. By seeing so, you can replicate the same into the reference image. So I did this activity on every grape and I have achieved this value study. So what we have seen is, by doing this activity, I have shaded different portion of the grapes in different values. By values, what I mean is, I'm going to press my pencil very lighter for value 1. As I'm going to the darker value, I'm going to press my pencil really with force so that I get a same shade I get the higher value. So now you can see the 2D circles is now looking like a bunch of grapes and there is a volume to it. So we have done with the preparatory work for our artwork. This may seem as an extra step, but believe me, once you do this step, you are now clear on where the shadows are, where the highlights are. Even though the light is coming from one direction, you can see that different grapes is having shadows in different directions. So you have to always pay close attention to the reference photo. Never think that if the light is coming from the top right, all your shadows will form on the bottom left. So I hope this helped you converting the reference photo into an image and doing the value study. The next video, I will tell you how to choose the color palette for your reference image and to choose color harmony so that we can replicate the actual photo as a watercolor. Please subscribe if you like my videos and want to get notified about it. Thank you.